A very important international event starting this week is the 15th BRICS Leaders Summit to be held in South Africa on the 22nd to 24th. The summit is the first offline BRICS summit since the outbreak, and it attracted a lot of international attention a few months ago. The 2023 BRICS Summit is unprecedented in scale. South African officials revealed that 70 invitations were sent out months ago to leaders of the Global South, including all 54 countries in Africa. At the time, the media was also once very concerned about whether Putin would attend on-site, because South Africa is a member of the International Criminal Court, which previously issued a warrant for Putin's arrest. If Putin went to South Africa to attend the summit, it would mean that South Africa was obliged to arrest Putin. Later, Putin also avoided the risk and determined not to be there in person, but to attend the meeting online instead. After this risk was eliminated, more countries came forward to attend the meeting in South Africa. In addition to the increase in the number of countries wanting to attend, the number of countries wanting to join the BRICS has also surged this year. At least 40 countries have expressed interest in joining the group, and 23 of them have already submitted applications. Countries that want to join the group include Argentina, Bangladesh, Bahrain, Cuba, Ethiopia, Indonesia, Iran, Nigeria, and Saudi Arabia, among others. Indeed, this is also related to the changing geopolitical landscape brought about by the Russian-Ukrainian conflict. When we look at the countries invited to the conference, none of them are developed countries such as Europe and the United States, which is the concept of the Global South that is now being hotly debated in the United States and the West. The vast majority of countries did not take sides in the Russian-Ukrainian conflict, but they have, to a certain extent, been subjected to political and economic pressure from the United States and the West. For many countries, joining a multilateral organization that brings together countries of the Global South can counteract the pressure to take sides on particular issues and allow them to retain a certain degree of policy autonomy. Therefore, the summit has the implication of issuing a mobilization call to the Global South. In the process of deep adjustment and change in the world landscape, more and more countries of the Global South refuse to be involved in the competition and confrontation of major powers and play an important role in maintaining world peace and promoting common development. International public opinion is of the view that BRICS, which has positioned itself as the global spokesman of the South, is undoubtedly a concrete test of its political strength, and whether BRICS is really able to call on the countries of the Global South and represent voices other than those of the US and the West, as well as how much this conference can achieve, are the key targets for international public opinion to observe. With the opening of the 15th BRICS Summit in Johannesburg, South Africa, on August 22, the focus of the meeting, in addition to the Russia-Ukraine war and the expansion of the BRICS bloc, the issue that has attracted the most attention from the outside world is the common currency of the BRICS countries. Due to the convening of the BRICS Summit before, not only the Russian foreign expression will be discussed within the BRICS organization to take non-dollar settlement issues, including South Africa also expressed the same attitude. Obviously, the main topic of the BRICS Summit is the BRICS expansion mechanism and the BRICS countries to discuss the issue of common currency settlement. For the common currency settlement issue, obviously is the BRICS organization also want to realize the de-dollarization efforts, and such efforts, obviously also do not want to be bullied by the dollar hegemony for a long time. According to the introduction of foreign media, the BRICS organization is ready to set up a common currency similar to the euro, if such a common currency can replace the dollar in the BRICS countries to achieve trade settlement, which is obviously the first beneficiary is Russia. Opposite to the media that Russia is the active promoter of this program, especially after Russia was sanctioned by the West, was kicked out of the global settlement system by the United States, Russia more need to establish a new global trade settlement system. Of course, the establishment of such a common currency is obviously to get rid of the influence of the dollar hegemony on the world, especially the bad performance of the dollar hegemony on certain countries at present. According to foreign media reports, the main purpose of the BRICS countries to establish a common currency is to get rid of the dollar, depriving the United States of one of the main levers of geopolitical influence. At the same time, the BRICS countries are in a position to establish a non-dollar currency system. The president of South Africa has said that intra-BRICS trade in 2022 will reach $762 billion. Total annual foreign direct investment in the BRICS countries is 4 times what it has been in 20 years. Although the total GDP output of the BRICS countries has exceeded the combined GDP output of the G7 industrialized countries since April this year. But in order to replace the dollar's global settlement status, it is obvious that the BRICS countries will still face a lot of difficulties in launching a common currency. To know when the dollar is still the main currency of global foreign exchange reserves, although compared to decades ago the share of 80% has been reduced to 58%, but the dollar still has a dominant position in the world settlement. And the biggest challenge lies in establishing a single BRICS currency similar to the euro, which would require harmonizing the different monetary systems of the 5 countries. And setting up a common central bank and harmonizing market rules, among other things. Sullivan, the White House national security aide, once said that the strength of the BRICS is that it has the potential to become the G7 or the Group of 20, G20, of the Global South. Looking at economic data over the past 2 years, this is true, with World Bank data showing that the BRICS account for more than 42% of the global population, 23% of the global economy, and 18% of global trade. In terms of purchasing power parity, the BRICS share of global GDP in 2022 amounts to 31.5%, already surpassing the G7's 30.7%, according to Acorn Macro Consulting in the UK. This allows the BRICS group to play a large degree of checks and balances on the G7 and other Western-dominated multilateral mechanisms, especially in response to Western-dominated multilateral institutions. Its collective bargaining power can be significantly improved. In addition, the reason why the BRICS has been able to attract more and more countries to join is also related to its equal decision-making mechanism. The countries that are now looking to join the BRICS have different reasons for doing so, such as Iran's desire to expand its access to international markets in order to bypass the West's harsh sanctions, Ethiopia, Algeria, and Egypt's fierce competition to open up new markets, and Indonesia's desire to consolidate its position regionally and internationally. However, the desire to make global economic governance inclusive should be common to many countries. The BRICS mechanism expresses the desire of many countries to diversify away from the US-dominated global financial order. Brazilian President Lula has repeatedly mentioned that BRICS countries should establish a unified currency system so that they don't have to rely on the US dollar for trade. So whether the creation of a sustainable, de-dollarized settlement mechanism among BRICS countries will be discussed during this BRICS summit is also an important point of observation.